show. Our topic today is your social media a storyboard? Is your social media a storyboard? I am so excited for this conversation. This conversation is for you. If you are dropping content on social media and nothing's happening, or you're having a hard time thinking, what content do I want to drop? Now, Tria, I want to start with our first question that we came up with. We wanted to talk about why every brand has a story. And what I mean by that is, why is it that whatever business you're in, whatever your brand that you've cultivated for yourself, why there's a story behind it? And to define it, I'm going to say the story that we're talking about is not your bio. It's not how you got your education. It's not what you do for a living, because that's often what people think about. We want to know the story that tells people who you are and why you do what you do. The why behind your business. So let's dive into a little bit about why we believe that every brand has a natural story.
Yeah, and it's so great. And one of the things that's immediately coming to mind for super achievers, if you have not yet had the opportunity to read the book, Start With Why by Simon Sinek, it is definitely a read for every entrepreneur. So I'm going to say this. Coming through and understanding stories, yes, every brand does have a story. And the question becomes, have you really stopped to think about what your brand story is? And so when we talk about why, there's a reason why we stepped onto the journey. There's a reason why we decided, to do what we do, start a business and everything. So I used to get a lot of questions, and even for myself, Suzanne, around story. And I have to admit, I was that entrepreneur that never really in the beginning understood what, a brand story is. And interestingly enough, studying it and unpacking it, what I thought was the brand story was not the brand story. So you said something, so interesting. And, I used to think like it was not only the accolades, I thought that too, but I thought it was the chronological stuff that happened. Like, oh, okay, I was working a 9 to 5, and then I stepped onto entrepreneurship, and then I started chronologically listing all the things that I did on the journey. And it was like, no, that's not the brand story. Taria, why do you do what you do? And and I was just about to say, and being able to unpack that, and really go deep into like, what is it, was so amazing, to me, thanks to your help. And then also our mentor, Lethea Owens, because I remember her being an integral part of the process as well.
It's interesting because you said something really key, because whenever I ask people, what's the story, what's your brand story, people do the exact same thing. They give me a chronology, is that the right word? Of how their business has progressed. And what's interesting is I always say to people, what people think is the story is never, ever really the story. And your brand story is what inspired you to do what you do. Yeah. And it's not, and oftentimes it's the thing that we don't want to talk about. Right. Oftentimes it's an event in your life that has you go, oh my goodness, this is what I'm called to do. It's a sequence of things that makes whatever you do so important to you. Like, it is like, I have to do this. And so if we all start searching for that thing, it has little to do with our education. It might have inspired why you chose the field you're in. It might have motivated why you do what you do. However, it's not what you do. And that's one of the hard things for people to understand. So I know for myself, I speak and I train and I teach people how to tell stories. Well,
Mm-hmm.
part of the reason behind that was I was silenced at a very young age because when I came to Canada, I had an accent and I had a teacher who poked fun at me and embarrassed me in front of the room. And I literally stopped talking. I wouldn't raise my hand in class. And so when I finally found my voice and I realized the power of one, being a woman with a voice, two, being a Black woman with a voice, and three, using my voice to champion things I believed in, teaching people how to speak took on a whole new meaning for me.
Yeah.
And so my why is not, I woke up and thought this is a good career. It was something that happened in my life that I had to rise from. It was something that I had to overcome. It was something that I had to figure out.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Different.
Yeah. And that's the stuff. And so that's the call to action for each of our superstars this morning, to really, stop and think about, why do you do what it is that you do? And I know for me, Suzanne, when you talk about unpacking and really tying it back, the why for me has always been my family. And so I remember even working, at countless 9 to 5s, the thing that really used to get me the rub, right, was I didn't have enough time to come home and spend with my family. And that became like such a rub, for me. And it was like the deciding factor of me stepping out, or I should say one of the deciding factors of me stepping in onto the journey. And so as looking at entrepreneurship, the why of time freedom definitely appealed to me. And then also on, when we're talking about stories, there's so many things, and I know we're going to get into it today about that, but even the things that come up on the journey, there's also stories there. Like as an entrepreneur, you hear about time freedom, but how do you actually get there? Yeah. And so, part of the why is, as I journey through it, it's helping other entrepreneurs realize that they could do the same thing too. So it's such a great thing. Like I said, when we really sit down and we get focused and we get clear to the why of, what we do. Why do we do what we do?
And it's interesting because you've just spoken about two distinct whys. And I really want to highlight this for everyone listening because it's really key. So I know I have the why I chose to be an entrepreneur, and mine's all linked to freedom. Mine's very much linked to being able to, I built my business so I could pack up and work from everywhere. That's the why, because freedom and being able to travel and do what I want is key for me. And, I got that really understanding of it as I built my business. I got to build my business. I've been to 37 states. I've been all over Canada. I've worked in a few different countries. And it was such an exciting thing. So when I began this journey, I was like, it's going to be key. So that's the why. Freedom and travel is a huge one for me. So there's that why. And then there's a why that really speaks to why social media and why speaking, why mindset. And so I really want you guys to begin to look at it for yourself because it will reveal so much. I want to dive into why stories work. And I think the key thing there is that stories work because they allow your audience to get to know a part of you that they would not have known. So your successes, your accolades, your all the, the what you do tells one part of your story. It's the surface part of your story. The stories that you choose give you depth. Now, this is one of the things I was thinking about this morning, Tria, as we were talking about this, and I'd love to get your opinion on it. We have this concept called earn the right. And one of the things I was thinking is that if you can't find the story that inspired your business, you might be doing the wrong business.
Mm-hmm.
Or you haven't earned the right to hang your shingle yet.
Yeah.
And it dropped into me this morning, and I just wanted your thoughts on that, because I think it's so key.
Yeah. So that right there, Suzanne, has been like the glaring challenge for me in my business. And so coming from, once again, I mentioned like, oh, I just, learned to love technology and how things tinker with things. And so I spent a lot of time in my journey learning and teaching people all the technicalities, of stuff, and didn't really understand why, people would sometimes not get it. And I know this is a thing, like a lot of entrepreneurs, we go through this, like, oh my gosh, I'm out there, I'm serving, I'm doing so much, I show up everywhere, I'm always happy to help, I could show you how to do this. And we have these conversations, but when we look at it, we're not really attracting the right people to our business that would allow us to move our business forward the way that we want to have our business move forward. And I talk about my experience being stuck in a tree, such a great experience, because it really showed me like some really powerful things. So one of the things that I learned is when it comes to skill, and we say this all the time, like anybody could learn a skill. If you do something 3, 4, 5 times, it becomes muscle memory. And so in your business, when you sit in that space of always doing the how and telling people, what to do, how to do it, then people are going to get it, they're going to do it. That doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to work with you. It wasn't until I allowed myself to, really open up and start to share, some of the struggles, some of the challenges, the things that I've done in my business for myself, the things that work. And we always want to talk about the things that work, right? Because the things that work are the things that make us show up like superstars. But also unpacking the things that didn't work. And so being able to be honest and said, yeah, I tried that didn't work. I was able to now start to share those stories, different perspectives, help clients to get this, not feel so bad and alone in what they were going through in their business. Because I'm just going to say this, there are a lot of entrepreneurs out there who are suffering in silence. And they need the help, because I was one of them. I needed the help and didn't know how to ask for the help, or didn't see anyone, I shouldn't say anyone, but didn't really find too many people in the marketplace that I wanted to connect with. And so when I had the opportunity to have a conversation with you, have a conversation with Lethia's, and I look at you, awesome and amazing women, as my mentors, the thing that connected wasn't so much about what it is you do in your business, but when you said, Sharia, I get it, I understand, I've been there, this is what happened to me along the journey, I instantly felt that connection.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say this, Suzanne, there were times when, I've been in conversations with clients, and just me sharing, some really tough things. And in the back of my mind, I'm going, I can't believe I'm about to say this.
I get that. Yeah.
Right. And then you go ahead and you share from that place, because at that point that person really needs it. Then you see the shift in how you work together, you see the shift in who you're attracting to your business. So it's just an amazing thing to just take a look at stories and how we use stories in our business. So yeah.
I want to highlight what, just some things that you're saying, because one of the things I started this off by saying is that if you don't have stories that reflect why you do what you do and your journey, you haven't yet earned the right to, you haven't earned the right as an expert. And I really want to unpack it, because you said so much in what you said, is that when we dig into our own journey, it is filled with trouble, challenges, failures, I don't knows, frustrations. I don't know if I can do this. How am I ever going to get back up? It's filled with all those stuff. And when we get through them, that is where we connect with our clients, because our clients aren't really interested in how many awards you have. They're only interested in that when they understand where you came from,
right?
What you've been through, and why the stories of what you've been through on the journey to where you are so key. It's because those are the places and the spaces that our clients are sitting. They may not be having the exact same experience, but they're having similar pains. They're having similar discomforts. They're having similar shames. They're having similar embarrassments. They're having similar feelings of isolation. And when we can connect in those pain places, that's where the magic happens. And so, I'm reading Brene Brown's book now, the Atlas of the Heart. And one of the things she was talking about was the power of compassion and the power of empathy and the dance between the two of them. And really why stories work is it creates these compassion places.
Yes.
Where someone can see themselves in your story and suddenly not feel alone. And so if you don't have a bunch of stories on the journey, then you really need to go, what am I doing? How did I get here?
Yeah.
That's where our content is. That's where our social media is rocked. And I will also say, if you don't have a burning, reason you do what you do, you might want to examine why you're doing what you're doing.
Yeah. And I think it's such good stuff, because we've been taught, as marketers, and newsflash, we all are marketers. We've been taught as marketers that the thing that we have to focus on, is the demographics. So do you know the age of your client? Do you know where your client lives? Do you know how much money your client makes? All of that, yada, yada, yada. And so one of the things in doing this type of work, we take a look at and dive into is, do you know the emotional pain of your clients as well? Are you in touch with your emotional branding? And stories is the thing that allow us to emotionally brand our business. And when you sit and you think about it, look at all of the the people that we connect with. Why do you connect with a certain company over another company? Is because they're able to evoke that type of emotion in you, and they do that through stories. And I always like to say it this way, is like, I've been there, so I understand, and I could say I get it and I got you. Like when I'm able to say to clients, I get it and I got you, it means the world to me.
It's so true. And I remember when I first started doing this, and I first started sharing my stories. It was so interesting how easy connection occurred. And it was during a time when I was having a hard time doing that thing called prospecting. And when I really began to understand stories, two things shifted for me. One was I stopped using the word prospecting.
Yes.
Because it was prospecting is about going out and finding.
Yeah.
And I started using the word connecting. So we actually call it our connection post.
Yeah.
So I started using the words connecting. And what shifted for me was I was going out in the marketplace to connect
Yes.
and build a new relationship, a new level of relatedness with someone. And that relatedness was going to be based on common ground. And once I started doing that, it was almost like I tell people I became sticky.
Yeah.
I relaxed into the whole thing, and I was sharing about myself and connecting with the shares and stories that people were telling me. And suddenly there was stickiness between us. And this is why stories work, because inside the stories we find these common places, and we become sticky, we become magnetic to each other, because no one wants to feel alone in their pain.
Mm-hmm.
No one wants to feel alone in their discomfort. And all we're looking for is that someone gets me.
Yeah.
Someone understands what I'm going through. And when you start looking at it from this human place,
Mm-hmm.
connection occurs with ease.
Yep. Yeah. And I love that, because that's really the thing why we're out here in the marketplace, because we want to be able to not just, find people, we want to be able to connect, and then we want to be able to connect to, like, what we always call our divine clients. So that there are people, and Susan, I know you felt this, because I feel it all the time. Like, when you find those people that you could say, oh, I know, like, you're the one. So you just feel that there are people out there that you are divinely called to serve, like
Absolutely.
they're divinely appointed to you, but you just don't happen upon that. It's a process, and it's putting, the stories out into the marketplace.
So Taria, this is I'm gonna ask you to open this one, because this is your wheelhouse. Why do you now call social media a storyboard?
Yeah, and this is the money question right here. Being able to make the shift in looking at social media from that place where we show up, just a hawk awares, because that's what we've been taught too. We've been taught, like, oh, okay, we're gonna get on social media because of the share numbers on social media. We should be able to find some clients, right? Like, at least one.
And maybe not.
Maybe not, right? So some people say, I'm on here and nothing's happening. And I'm here to tell you the reason why. One of the biggest shifts is, like, taking a look at your social media as a storyboard. And so how many of our super achievers know what a storyboard is? So a storyboard is actually, or storyboarding is actually the process, of laying out visually how you want something to go. So if you're, doing a movie, most directors, producers, they storyboard their script, right? We've gotten so good that storyboard, presentations, all of that stuff. So your social media is your storyboard. And this is the place where your brand story lives. And so I want everyone to get that. This is the place where your story is showcased. So if someone encounters your profile on social media, what's the story that they'll be able to see and connect with?
That's such a great question.
Yeah, what is it that you are putting out there that would allow them to become endeared to you and endeared to your brand? What is it that the things that you're showcasing that makes them say, you know what, you are my person? And I'm here to say, like, it's not all of the promotional stuff, because we know how we feel about promotional stuff. Like, sometimes we see it as good, and then we become kind of tone deaf to it. But what we want as influencers, we want those people to be able to have that connection and journey along with us. And so looking at it as a storyboard, your story lives on social media. It lives in different formats, whether it's in written, content, whether it's in pictures, or even if you're doing videos. So that's what I'm excited about when I take a look at social media. How about you?
For me, it's such a great picture for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I want everyone to just consider for a moment that you are the character in your story. You are the guide. You are the person who've become an expert. And if we could sit in the know, like, and trust understanding, then when you think of social media being a storyboard, it's asking the questions: what stories am I going to be required to tell about my journey that gives people a deeper understanding and connection with me? What stories can I tell that have inspired me about who I have become over the years? This is the key here. Influence is our ability to inspire people to take action because they totally, absolutely choose to. That's what the influence is. So an influencer is someone who's able to inspire people to take action and actually walk with them. Yeah. So the question we're asking is, what stories am I, as the lead character on this board, required to tell to the world, so I can attract the people who say, ooh, that's my person. That story inspires me. That story I see myself in. Ooh, I wish I could be like that. What are the stories? And then it becomes that you're actually giving people some depth to this person. And this is the key thing. When people connect with you on a deeper level and they buy you, then they don't shop around before they buy from you. I want you guys to get that.
Yes.
Because then you become their only.
Right.
And we have people listening today that have been with us for years. They said, I've hooked my cart to your wagon. We're not going anywhere. And it's because we built relatedness, relationships. There's a depth, and we've shared stories, truly.
Yeah, it's so amazing. So that answers one of the biggest questions that, or I should say, this is the answer to one of the biggest questions that I get all the time. Like, what type of content should I be putting into the marketplace? If people struggle with content, or they struggle with being consistent, with showing up in the marketplace. And so one of the best ways, to shift that is to start to think about those connection pieces. Like I said, I don't look at it as content anymore, but what are the connection pieces that you are putting out into the marketplace that would allow, your audience to say, ooh, that's my person. This is the person that gets me. They've been there. And I know, that they could guide me to where I want to go.